You're listening to the Evidence of Alignment podcast, dedicated to witnessing the changes that alignment brings to one's life when we choose heart over hustle, honor our inner guidance, and fearlessly express our special gifts and unique service. From corporate leaders turned healers to artists serving their communities, each guest is proof that our natural, authentic self is our greatest contribution. We are the truth. We are one. Now, we dive into the messy, beautiful journey of leaving the familiar, trusting that inner voice, and turning our gifts into service. It's time to align. It is time to awaken. We awaken. Today, I'm speaking with Jennie Vercouteren. She's an entrepreneur and potter living an amazing journey. I met Jennie here in France early on at a time when other Americans were few and far between. It was so great to connect and feel the resonance of our shared culture as we both tried to find our footing here in France. Jennie's story is absolutely amazing, and I'm so happy she agreed to share it with us today. Jennie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Beth. I really appreciate being part of this podcast. And having the chance to talk with you today and having the chance to know you through all these years since being in France too. It's been such an anchor for me to have you. Likewise. So yeah, I appreciate this opportunity. Yeah.
So let's start with what you were doing in Denver.
Okay. Sure. So in Denver, I had a company called Green Spaces that I had started in New York City in 2008. And I continued it in Denver. And it started in Denver in 2009. And it's a co-working space for ecological entrepreneurs in Reno. And it still exists today, which I'm really proud to see. They're actually in the middle of growing to the 16th Street Mall. So yeah, it's amazing to see. It's almost 20 years later that this collective of ecological entrepreneurs continues to grow there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so there's a lot to it, and I know your whole story, so it's hard for me to angle into what fits the podcast best. But you had a rather abrupt departure from the U.S. Do you want to speak about kind of however
Sure.
you take it?
Yeah, so basically, I met my husband, who's Belgian, 2 years before we left the United States. And after I met him, we had come to France a couple times, and there was a couple things converging at the same time. First, life in the US was becoming increasingly stressful for us. There were several different things that were happening that were increasing the pressure on our life there. And at the same time, we had done a couple trips to France, and I started to just feel the energy of how calm and beautiful France was, and kind of just dreaming, like, what if we could go to France? But at the time, it just felt so far-fetched because I had this company in the US that we were running. We had done an expansion there. But as I look back, it was kind of like the two forces were growing. The dream of going to France and seeing and feeling that beauty and that calm, looking at houses. Actually, we looked at houses online in Albufeira before we moved there, which is really funny. And then the stress building and building and building in the US, like it was becoming overwhelming. Just the cost of living. We were starting to look for a house to buy, and to purchase a house was, it was already back then. That was in 2016, was just becoming, I really felt like we're going to work for the next 25 years to pay off this house 45 minutes from Denver. So those two forces were happening, and it continued growing. And I won't get into all the details, but the pressure just kept growing. And I started to also envision, we had two dogs at the time, one big dog and a small dog, of if we did come back to Europe, because my husband always made it clear that he did want to eventually move back to Europe. And I'm Danish as well, and have always appreciated and liked Europe a lot too. We also wanted to bring our dogs. So we found out that there's a ship called the Queen Mary that takes dogs And it's typically a 2.5-year wait list to get your dog on that ship because there's only a certain number of spots. So when everything was feeling like incredibly overwhelming for us in the US and we were still looking for a house, it wasn't really coming together actually. I realized that there was 3 months before the Queen Mary leaves, there's cancellations for dogs, and there's a chance that day that you can actually get on the Queen Mary 3 months from then. So I called 3 months before the Queen Mary was leaving, December 8th of 2016. And it turned out that exact day, there was a cancellation for 2 dogs, a big and a small, that could fit in a kennel together. And we had to make a decision within 20 minutes, or like right then, because people were calling in to get that spot. If not, we could go to Europe 2.5 years later because we could not bring our large dog on the plane. So it was not even fully conscious. Like we were not actually really fully prepared to make this decision, even though it had been kind of building in the back of our minds. And we just decided to buy, and it was, you couldn't get the money back either. So we decided to buy the ship tickets that day, which was a significant amount of our savings. Yeah.
So I love, like, okay, so there was all this pressure
Yeah.
that was building in your life, right? And that can be a
Yeah.
comfortable place to be in for anyone, that sense of things aren't working, something needs
Yeah.
to change, and just feeling that. And then all of a sudden you get this opportunity.
It was like a light in the darkness.
It was alignment. That was,
It was.
the point of this podcast is this, what is the evidence of alignment? And
Yeah.
so aligned with that desire to
And
heart.
and that, like, all of a sudden that day, this thought came to me of like, wait a minute. And I'd called like several months before, that the fact that that popped in my mind, it was not even conscious. It was like something else. And they had just gotten a cancellation just before I called.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it was like a light because the pressure was getting so hard. It was like I couldn't breathe. And 2 years before that, life was actually going pretty well in the US. Like we were doing an expansion. I met Ward. I bought a place in Crested Butte. I like really planned on living there before I met him for like the rest of my life. And all of a sudden, it was like things switched and it was one thing after another. And the pressure was so intense that I couldn't even bear it almost anymore. And then that ship ticket, and all of a sudden we could see, it was like, wait, there's a light actually here, but we didn't have a plan. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. So that's a really good a good thing to bring up, this no plan, and yet you still took steps forward. What do you think was propelling you?
I mean, I think that life, it was becoming so obvious that life was not working for us in the US anymore. Because now that I live in France, I can't even imagine making that kind of decision. So for me now, because life is working for us in France, like I really like how it's going and developing. But it's such a sign too that sometimes when things get so hard, it's a pushing energy, because otherwise I would never have the courage to do that right now in my life, because I'm not being pushed like that. So I do believe that sometimes if life gets so hard, you have to look around and see where is even if it's completely outside the box, like where are you being pushed to go actually? So it's weird. It's actually, now I realize sometimes the hardest things are, they're pushing you in a direction that you're supposed to go in that you'd never have the courage to go in otherwise, I think, in hindsight. And now I'm so grateful that we did that. It's like, wow, good job to us in hindsight. Because at the time I was like, what are we doing?
So yeah, you took a really big risk. So okay, so we have an idea then of where you were and where you are now, but it's still a lot happened in between all that.
Yeah,
So
a lot.
when you landed in France, what do you think was the biggest challenge for you?
Oh my, there was a lot. Like from there to here was quite a lot of steps of just continuing to move forward, like just keep going. Because when we arrived in France, we arrived in an Airbnb. And like the thing is with France is that, you know, this too, is it's a lot different than the US in terms of setting up. So I had moved from New York City to Denver. I grew up in Minnesota. So I was very naive in terms of how difficult it is to move. Because in the United States, it's not that difficult to move. actually around. And coming to France, it was just one thing after the other of like, whoa, this is way harder than we expected. For example, opening up a bank account as an American is really, really complicated. You have to set up your new phone. I also naively assumed that you can just had money and stuff from our company in the United States so that we could rent an apartment, because in the US that would be no big deal. And actually in France, it's so complicated to rent a place. And yeah, so that was a really hard step. So there was a lot of steps that were a lot more complicated and harder than we imagined, where France does put a lot of barriers in place to getting set up, I find. And then the doors that were closed, like for example, renting wasn't an option. And so we had money in our savings account. So we were able to buy a house near Aubeterre, where we met in Saint Severin. So yeah, it kind of led us on the path of buying a house instead of renting in a city. So we just ended up going. And then in the end too, like having that time in the countryside was, because originally we did think to go to Bordeaux or a bigger city. But actually being in the countryside was really good for me, even though it was a hard time too, to kind of get quiet in life and get back to nature.
At some point you decided, well, you bought a property in the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
And you renovated. Do you want to kind of tell us about that period?
Yeah. So basically we bought the property in Aubeterre first, because we knew that was actually where we came on vacation a couple times when we came to France. Somehow we ended up in that region and found it really beautiful. And then we lived in Denver before we moved, and we had an apartment in the mountains in Crested Butte, Colorado. And it was like my favorite place in the US. And so I was really dreaming of the mountains, of like getting back to the mountains. Both Ward and we love the mountains actually. And so we went on vacation in Luz Saint Sever, which is in the Pyrenees. And I kind of had this idea that we could maybe buy an apartment like we had in the mountains in Denver, and then we could go on vacation in the mountains, like kind of recreating a little bit of what we had in the United States. And Ward actually found this building that was less than the price of an apartment. It had been sitting empty for 20 years. Yeah. And I was like, there is something so wrong with that building. How can we buy that building for less than an apartment? Like, we're just looking for a little apartment. But we also needed to do something in France. Like, we were a bit lost as to like what our next steps were in terms of making money and finding our way here. And Ward found this building, and we just jumped into that project actually. So that kind of led us towards the Pyrenees. So originally it was just supposed to be in a vacation apartment, but then the building was a much bigger project, and we started working on it, and we did all the demolition work, and a bunch of we did a lot of the construction on it.
And had you ever done anything like that before?
No, like not to that scale at all. We had been doing some renovation work, for example, on Saint Severin, a little bit, but we didn't really do the renovation work that well in Saint Severin, so we learned a lot actually. So actually that's where that house was a really good project for us, because it was a lot less risk, and we realized, wow, we really have to approach this building much differently than we did Saint Severin. Like we did 3 months of just designing out the building, like designing the plans. We hired a top construction team to help us. Like, we did a lot of the works ourselves to save money, but then the construction team guided us. Whereas in Saint Severin, we just kind of worked with people, but we didn't bring in really like top construction people to really look at the project from a high level perspective and help us with it. So we used the mistakes that we made to help us with this project in the Pyrenees, actually. And then, in Crested Butte, we also remodeled the apartment, but it was very superficial. Whereas this building, we really had to redo all the plumbing, all the electricity. We added another floor on. Like, it was a much more substantial project, actually.
Okay, wow, quite a learning experience.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we first got to France, before we bought our house, for 9 months, we lived in apartments, like in hotels. So they were apart hotels because we could rent them for 3 weeks at a time. And at the time, it was like torture. Like, oh my, we're just living in these different apart hotels. Like, this is kind of horrible, actually, because we hadn't found our house yet. And actually, from that experience of living in all these apart hotels, that is what gave us the idea for Chez Lolette. It was a part of hotel. We used that experience of living in these for 9 months to be like, what did we like? What worked? And we built the same thing. So that's what we have. It's an apart hotel of exactly what we stayed in for those 9 months. So it's interesting that like some of the things we went through that felt so kind of random and painful in the end helped us in the next step later. But at the time, you'd never see why there's a reason for it. It's like, why am I stuck in these apart hotels for 9 months? Moving from apart hotel with our 2 dogs.
Let's shift gears a little bit. And well, actually, before we do, I want to, I love what you said that made me want to point out the fact that there's kind of this lost period when we're going through like big change. And in my last interview, when I was talking to Jessica, she was calling it her dark night, like the things that she went through that ended up being a really big pivot point.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so those periods can last quite a long time.
Yeah. Really. Yeah.
And they're just kind of part of life, part of the experience.
It's true. Yeah.
So let's talk about the language issue for you, because I know Ward speaks French, so that was a help. But what was your experience like with that?
Yeah. So yeah, and I think it's interesting that you bring up that period of the dark night too, because actually learning the language is kind of what the step that started to get me out of it, I think. Okay. So for me, I feel when I look back on it, it really lasted like between 5 and 7 years, a period of like complete lost, hard life, not really making sense. And I started to come out of that period when I started to learn French. And yeah, I took private classes and I started writing my story in French, which helped me start to make sense of things. And then really where it felt like a feeling of turning and feeling more grounded was once I went to university at the University of Po, and I was immersed in the French language. And then I met a lot of other people there too, that were from abroad, that had moved here, that had gone through a similar, a lot of people, I think when they move abroad, it's really difficult for them. So then you meet other people that also went through that feeling of like loneliness and lost. And you are learning together how to speak French. And there's a sense of light, of opening and re-stepping into a new era. And I think in a way too, it also is it's a shift too when you learn a new language in terms of how you think about things. I think it helped me shift out of some old patterns and things I'd learned, because you just kind of shift your operating system a bit. So yeah, learning French was really an amazing experience in terms of going to the university. And it was really 1 year where that like truly happened, was when I went to University of Po, and I went there for a whole year, for 2 full semesters. And I went from going in and I could not speak French at all. And I'd been in France for 5 years, and it was like not working for me, like really not at all. And like barely even saying like, hello, how are you? And 1 year later, now I go and like I do tons of stuff in French. Like my whole pottery business and experience is all French. So it's amazing. And there was a lot of people in school like that had been here for 5 years, in their 40s, 50s, and went to that program. And even within 3 months, you get to the point that you can speak French fairly well. So it is a really incredible program, like actually to go to. And it really turned the corner for me and helped me kind of get restabilized in France too.
I'm remembering a story though, that there was one teacher who you actually wanted to switch from her class because.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because that also is a kind of an important thing when we're talking about alignment, is like the people in our lives who don't quite mesh.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I was put in the second semester, I was put into a class that did not work well for me, and I didn't feel very good in it actually. And it kind of got me destabilized again. But I really listened to myself actually. And I just really I asked several times to change, but then and I think this is a good lesson for me too. I truly like stood up for myself and said, I have to change to this other teacher and program. And it was the students in it too. The whole environment was better for me. And yeah, so that's true. There was kind of a detour that was required me to step up and listen to myself and get back, because I did get a bit derailed actually in the second semester there.
Okay. So I'm wondering if you have anything you want to share, because this is interesting, Jennie, that, and this isn't maybe not what you want to talk about, but you're having this lesson over and over again. It's the same.
Yeah, of standing up for myself.
Yes. That
Yeah,
we spoke about before we even started.
totally. Yeah, exactly. No, it's a huge lesson for me, actually. It is a really big lesson. And I think that's something that I'm now realizing that it's starting to make sense, because for a lot of time in my life, I was like, I don't really understand what's happening here. Is that I was not trained well in my growing up environment in terms of protecting myself. And it's the whole community that I was in. I was trained that we were supposed to play a role and please people. And the most important thing is to make other people happy, not to like protect yourself. And if other people make fun of you or like, that wasn't a lesson that I was taught. And actually, I've gone through a lot of pain from not wanting to learn that lesson. And there, including what I talked about most recently too, is like, it keeps coming back to me, that lesson of like, it's you that has to stand up for yourself. It's you that has to set the boundaries. It's you that has to demand respect. And not to be a victim in it, because in a way, I think because of, as a kid, you have that victim energy of like, because you don't at that age. Yes, of course, it's difficult if you're not being protected, but eventually you have to take the ownership and learn how to do it and realize that you're an adult, and it's only you that can do that. Like no one else can do that for you. And that lesson keeps coming back at me stronger and stronger. Like in a way, it just keeps coming at me until I learn it. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. So this is like one of the big lessons that I'm not like a victim here. This is something I am supposed to learn actually. And I have to really learn it no matter how hard it is.
It's coming back to you again and again, but each time you're getting stronger through it.
That's true. And I'm getting faster at doing.
And faster, yes.
Yeah. And less, like the thing is, when that comes at me, there's a lot of mixed emotions of like guilt. Oh, but I shouldn't do this. It's going to make the other person feel bad. And I'm learning more and more, but you are in charge of, like, it's you that has to feel good. It's like, you're responsible for you. And after that, you can like worry about the other people, but first, like, take care of yourself. Right. And it's like, how is this so complicated? So yeah, and I am getting, and each time I do it, I'm also like feeling better and better. Actually, I'm like, wow, this feels good actually to do this for myself, and nothing bad happens. Like the world is still working and everyone's fine. Nothing.
It's like building a muscle,
Yeah, it is. And then I get clear on my future too. Like every time I do that, it's these gifts come in, and suddenly I'm like seeing things that I'm supposed to do in the future, and this lightness comes in. So it's kind of like being taught to me, but then you get a reward too. It's like, wow, okay, cool. Now I got through it. And now this other door open that really feels good.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you have any words about overcoming and forgiving the past, even though you just kind of spoke to that, but if there's anything else you want to share about that.
Yeah, I think I had a really hard time, as you know, forgiving the past. I felt very
whole other, like chapters and chapters of your book that we can't go into, but
yeah, there's a lot of books over there that you can read. They're kind of boring, actually. But yeah, because I think forgiving happens once you take responsibility in the way that you can, right? So for me, by taking responsibility and learning, I can actually take ownership over, like, for example, like taking care of myself, having good healthy boundaries, demanding that I am allowed to be treated with respect, and learning who I am. Like a lot of people, there's been a lot of things where people can say who you are, but once you learn who you are, it doesn't really matter what people say, because you know who you are. Like you take the time, and I mean, that's a process for your whole life and beyond, but you start to get a sense of like where you are, so that you take the power back. And I think that allows the forgiveness, because once you feel re-empowered again, you can then you can turn towards the future again and say, okay, I mean, wasn't the most pleasant thing to go through, and it took a long time for various reasons, but that's the point, like in life, I think, is to learn there's lessons that you're here to learn. And by doing it, maybe we can also help each other the next time. So it's a little bit easier for someone that comes after, they don't have to go through all of this stuff. So I think I'm really getting to a place where I'm starting to really turn the corner and say, like, things happen and it's for a reason. And also life, I think another thing too is at least where I was born in, and I see this sometimes, is there's a sense that like life is supposed to work out in a way, like everything's supposed to go in these ways in life. And it's like, no, life is a complicated affair. Like it doesn't all work out exactly as it's supposed to. It's actually pretty complex. And there's not like a sense that you just get things in life. Like I think growing up, if you grow up in an environment where there is more like resources, there's a sense of entitlement actually. And the reality is like life is not an entitled game. Like we're all in here learning, and there's a lot of things happening that we have to figure out along the way. And so realizing that like we're not entitled to things in life. It's a mystery actually, I think. And there's so much beauty too. Like, but doesn't come from the things that you expect. Actually, it just comes from the gifts that get given to you. And so kind of like becoming okay with my path being a bit more of a mystery too. And like the different gifts coming that I wasn't expecting. Right. So I don't know. That's where I think I'm kind of getting to now a bit more. It'll be interesting to see.
So, okay. So let's talk about where you are now and what you're doing and how it feeds you,
Yeah. So something that I'm extremely grateful for is that I found pottery, which has been a really like an incredible craft for me personally to get into, really grounding and interesting, and keeps me engaged and exploring the creativity of life a bit through it. So yeah, that's been such a gift actually. So yeah, I've been working on pottery. Now I'm really focused in on it. I have an atelier. I'm part of an association too that does pottery together, and I'm exploring all these different forms and things through pottery. So yeah, that's where I'm at now too, is I'm starting to develop ceramics for gardening. And I really love that process. The latest thing that I'm developing is Olas. Do you know about Olas?
I don't.
Okay, so Olas are pots that are buried in the ground, they're only fired once. And it's an ancient technology from civilizations all over the world. So like over 4,000 years old, and different civilizations, the Romans, the Greeks, South America, they all use this technology, which is like just making a pot and you bury it in the ground and then you pour water into it. And it uses 50 to 75% less water. But what's really interesting is the plant grows better with it. The plant grows deeper because the pot is there and it has to go down and find the roots. So the plants become much stronger when they're buried with these olas, and they grow around the pot, and they take the water they need and let the water be that they don't need. So it's an amazing thing that humans and plants can do together.
So these are buried underground?
Yeah. So you take a pot.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you too. If you want, I have one in the other room.
Yeah, if you want to, sure.
Do you want me to grab it?
Yeah. Yeah. And
okay.
If you have any of your other little birdie ones too.
Sure. 1 second. Okay. So I'll show you too. Okay. So I started making more pots, like just regular pots. And that's interesting too, because I started making my pots and I just always made it with birds on it. Mm-hmm. Because I thought one of the places that I really loved to be as a child was my grandmother in Denmark. She had a summer house next to the ocean with a wild garden, and there were birds everywhere. And she sang to the birds. So when I started making pottery, what's really amazing is that the earth kind of talks to you through it. It's like you find your voice through it too. And I just kept making birds over and over again. And then I started making gardening things. And I was always kind of like thinking about her in her garden with the birds and the wildflowers and how good I felt there. So yeah, it kind of like led me off on this path where I just started making pots, and Then I found native plants. And then I started recently this Ola project. So these are Olas.
Okay.
So you see, so you bury it like in the ground up to here. So you'd like take the ground out, bury it next to a plant. Then when you take this off, you pour the water in. And the water actually, because it's not glazed, over time seeps out. This is porous. So the plant can actually grow around it. It's like an earth material. It's non-toxic. And the plant will go around it and pull the water out too. Isn't that
Oh, so it's
amazing?
not that you plant inside it, it's that the plants grow around it?
Yeah, you plant next to it.
Okay.
So you have a plant and you bury this next to the plant, and the roots will go towards it.
It's
And
basically
they'll
a
go
watering
deeper,
system.
actually. What's that?
Basically a watering system.
It's a watering system. It's an ancient watering system.
It's so
And it's
cool.
coming back in trend again. So it's like people are starting to do it again. So because I started making pots, I just heard about this concept because in France they do it quite a bit.
Okay.
And then I decided, oh, okay, I'll just make one. And then I started making them. So now I'm getting really interested in making more of them because it is an ancient technology that works. You use so much less water.
Wow.
So it's really great, like with water restrictions, but then the plants are actually much hardier too. So normally if you just pour the water, the roots stay superficial. This makes the roots go deep. So I think when you're working with pottery, what's really interesting is it's like it's like an exchange of energy, right? Like it's like by planting, I don't know, it feels like the energy exchanges with me too. It helps me go deeper and like understand things. It's really strange, but I love it. And so it's really interesting that all these ancient civilizations use this all the time, right?
Yeah, I had no
And
idea.
we've forgotten it in a way, like we've forgotten it in our society today.
There's so much that we've forgotten because of
Yeah.
how we decided to do things. And I think we're in a time where we're going to have to start revisiting some of these old techniques.
Yeah, because they worked more in harmony with Earth. Like I believe that humans have the capability to actually help and heal Earth because we have this creative, like this helps the plants actually. They grow much better. So we work in partnership together.
Yeah.
So and it's interesting. So then the two grow together. Whereas right now we've kind of gone so far in the other direction where we are destroying and using the resources and not working with it. So it's kind of a switch back to the other way, like just to going more towards where we work together. So yeah, I love it. I mean, and it's so basic. It's like what you just make a pot. And it's
Wow. And are you selling those now?
yeah, so I just started this Ola project. And that was kind of with the recent lesson that I was saying how a positive thing comes out. And then all of a sudden the Ola started coming out. And I'm really excited about this part of the project. But I'm selling a lot of pots and I sell birdhouses and little bird feeders at boutiques in Lourdes, in a couple of the villages here.
I would like to know if you have any advice for people who want to follow their hearts, but maybe feel resistance.
To me, the most important thing is to listen to your intuition, even if it seems really illogical, because to follow your heart is not a logical process, I found. It will a lot of times look like the craziest thing you could ever do, actually, in a way, I think. Or like the most mundane. Like, for example, when I started just making pots, but now it's feeding me so much too. And I think that it's the most important thing is to listen to yourself, like against all the other noise or what people say you should do, is to really just listen, like what makes you feel light and good, what gives you joy, like listen to that. There's like a real, I think deep down we're supposed to go towards our joy.
Yeah, I love I love how your grandmother became this inspiration for what you're doing now as well. I love you're drawing in so much of what you love, your love for the planet, for water,
Yeah.
balance in nature, and just yeah, it's amazing. I think what you're
Thank you, Beth. Yeah. And like what's amazing to me with my grandma is that she 45 years later is still inspiring me just by having joy in her garden.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. She's just in her garden feeling joyful with birds. And that 45 years later is a guiding thing for me, which shows to me how important just the simple thing of like enjoying moment with a bird. Like that's amazing, isn't it? That can guide for that long.
Alignment, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
alignment.
And that like life does not have to be that hard. Like it's a beautiful thing actually too. If we can get back into our joy with nature and connection, I think.
Yeah, I'd just be curious what you have to say, if you have anything to say, about distinguishing between fear and intuition.
Oh, fear can be intuition. Fear is intuition too, right?
Yeah.
The thing with fear is that I believe it shows you something. It shows you somewhere that it's like warning, right? Like when I left the US, I had a lot of fear inside. But I mean, within fear, or like some people that I've had to deal with to face some of my internal lessons. But yeah, with fear, I think it is really important not to ignore it because it's an alarm system. I don't think you have fear if there's not a reason to have fear, generally. I mean, you can create it maybe in your mind if you really like, but I think usually it's saying something that you should find out what is it saying. And then if you face it and find out what is it coming from. And sometimes you don't really know even, but you just kind of know, like, I have to get away from this situation.
Or towards a situation.
Yeah, or towards another situation. Like for me, France felt safe and the United States I had a lot of fear there. But that was my internal compass kind of showing me where to go, actually. Yeah. But I do think that you have to take action with it. Like you have to look and say, like, am I being pointed to go towards? Or like, yeah, to get away from or whatever. Like it's a pointing system. And then when you go to it, the fear goes away, I think, over time.
Okay.
Because I have had a lot of fear in my life, actually, in my past. And it's a debilitating thing too sometimes, but it is important to find out where you're supposed to go from it. Right? Because animals have it too. Like it's a natural thing. An animal has fear, like if a lion comes and it runs away. And so it's a natural protection mechanism.
Right. Yeah. In today's, there's so much on the internet around healing and the fight, fight, or flight, and that people are stuck in those states. But also we need to realize that fear serves a purpose. Like what you were just saying. It's not, there's that system exists for a reason.
It does, like
shut off.
Like there is a reason to be fearful then. Like there is something, and then there's something you can do. As long as you're alive, usually, I mean, you can do something about it. There are situations where maybe it's a lot harder, but generally there is something that you can do to find a way. Like in the US, the financial thing was very, very scary to me. And getting a safe place to live in that's not expensive took away that fear too. Like that was a big fear. And like sometimes it's like, how do I find this thing? But that's again outside the box, like where you can look outside the box to find the solution too that will resolve the fear. Like there's a huge movement towards, I think, off-grid living, tiny houses, but that's also facing a fear of having a safe, good place to live that's outside the box solutions that are coming up. They're resolving a fear of like the fact that we all should have a safe, nice place to live. That's a resolution that they're coming up with, actually.
Okay, so my final question is what does it mean to you to be aligned?
Yeah, to me, to be aligned means listening to myself and following following what I feel that I should be working on and developing right now, but coming from myself, not from other people, but what do I really feel that I should be working on? Because when you think about it too, when you take the risks, what you're doing is showing that you believe in yourself. You're saying, I believe my intuition and I'm willing to risk for my own self, for what I believe in my intuition, which is pretty an amazing thing that you actually do for yourself. Then when you take a risk, you're showing that you believe in yourself.
How can people find you or learn more about what you do?
Well, I'm developing my website. It's still in the early stages with my products that I'll be selling. And it's called Envol Depot.
Envol Depot? Can you spell
Oui, yeah, Envol Depot. So it means taking flight of the pots.
Oh.
The pots taking flight.
Okay, I love it.
In French. So it's ENVOLDESPOTS.
Okay.
The flight of the pots.
And do you want to say anything about your blog? Because you had some very interesting articles.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'll be continuing it. So my blog is my exploration into nature and gardening. And so I cover some different types of topics. Like I explored water last summer. This summer, I am planning on releasing some more articles around the importance of native flowers. I did an interview with someone recently who goes into like all the different benefits of native flowers. So if you want to explore that, that's also on my website, Envol Depot.
Envol Depot. Okay, very good. And just any last thoughts to share before we close?
Well, no, thank you, Beth, for this opportunity. It's really been an amazing opportunity to participate in this amazing project.
Well, I'm really happy that you agreed. I think you are such an inspiring woman and just continually overcome challenges and just blossom in these incredible ways. So yeah, you're very inspiring. So thank you so much, Jennie. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you. Jennie's story lets us know that we can reinvent ourselves if we're willing to trust the fear, honor the lessons, and take the risks that life presents. Doing so is a sign that we believe in ourselves, and we are rewarded by life when we follow those intuitive impulses. What an inspiration to all of us wanting to align with our natural gifts and service to the higher qualities of harmony, beauty, peace, and well-being. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Beth. What an incredible experience today to be able to speak with you. I really appreciate it.
Take care.